Hi everyone, this is Karen from Online Healing Community. Welcome to Creating Space. Basically, this is a space for us to share stories and reflections related to personal growth and healing. And today we have a special guest. We have Rowena Ebdani-Suarez. This is part two of our conversation. Last week we talked about HeartMath for personal mastery. Today we're going to talk about how heart intelligence can help organizations. Rowena Ebdani-Suarez is a certified math trainer. She's a resilience teacher and an organizational learning consultant. In 2017, she went to the US to study under the Heart Math Institute, and she's one of only three heart math practitioners in the Philippines. So, everyone, please help me welcome Weng Ebdani-Suarez.
Hi,
Hi, Weng.
Karen. Hello,
Welcome to
everyone.
Creating Space.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, last time we talked about heart math for personal mastery, and today we're going to talk about how it can help organizations, which is really your passion, Noen. But for those who are just tuning in now, can you please tell them what heart math is and what attracted you to this particular methodology?
Sure. Yeah, the HeartMath system is composed of tools and processes that can help people build resilience. So, some components are stress management, emotional regulation, but there is also a component of this using intuitive intelligence to make decisions, which is why you can think of it as heart math being able to help you with certain decisions that you have to make in life, but also in organizations. So it's a very broad system, but those are the I think those are the most basic applications of heart math. And yeah, what attracted me to heart math? I think I mentioned last Tuesday that I didn't really do a choosing. No, I did not do a choosing
Mhm.
process.
Yeah.
I think I shared that it was something that I kind of intuited, but I was asking the question of what I could do to help bridge people, to help harmonize certain perspectives and diversity, right? Especially in the context of the post-election period in the Philippines at the time, I thought that HeartMath would really be an effective tool to help me do that. So that was the initial intention. But then when I studied HeartMath, I found out, I discovered that there's really so much more than I thought it was. So as I mentioned, they studied the science of intuition. They studied how it can be applied in social settings, in relationships, in communications, and also in sustaining behavior change. So yeah, that got me hooked, right? So in 2018, I decided to do what I'm doing now in organizational learning full time. And HeartMath is one of my flagship workshops in what I do for organizations. And by the way, it's both for businesses and nonprofits.
Right. And also, you mentioned that what you're offering is an alternative approach to organizational development. How is it different from typical corporate programs?
Mm. I would say that the difference is really the foundational workshops, the foundational principles that uh, that are behind what I do are really anchored on us being human beings. So you have a person, an employee who enters an organization, but is that person is not just an employee. That person is a human being, and I believe that there are many capacities of human beings that are not really being cultivated in organizations. For example, heart intelligence. You would rarely hear about organizations who are, training people on heart intelligence and really cultivating it as a practice, meaning really embedding it as part of a culture. So I say that it's an alternative organizational development because when organizations that I work with look for a leadership model, for example, I do not just pick any leadership model out there. I I choose a leadership model that is aligned with the HeartMath methodology. Meaning, if you want a culture where people do not depend on hierarchy to do things and take initiative, or if you want your employees to take initiative without waiting for the formal leader or the leader with a quote unquote title or authority, right? You would want the culture to be really open. You want a culture where people feel free to take initiative and explore what they want. So it takes a lot of it takes a lot of courage and willing for organizations to really train their people on that. Meaning, they are not just training them based on what the job requires, but also really training them as full human beings, developing capacities that also benefit them in life, and that help them find their purpose, that help them connect with their meaning. So I think that's a brief overview of why I say that it's alternative. Because we hear about human resource, no resource as one word. What I do is human dash source with a capital S. So most of the methodologies that I use, most of the practices and the principles that I bring in really has something to do with helping people in organizations go back to this source, this inner source of source and creativity. So that's why you would find that methodologies that are not very mainstreamed are the ones that I really use in most of my organizational.
I love that part when you say we dash source and you connect them to their inner creativity and resilience. Because sometimes companies or some even organization see the human being as a resource or a hand that needs to do the work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's very true. And to me, kasi, once that person is connected with his source, no, you can expect that the person, as I have written in one of my entries in Seeds of Transformation, you can expect that the person feels like he and his work is really one. It's not just a job because he is fully connected with it, right? So these are some of the characteristics of people who are connected with a inner source, meaning they
Yeah.
really care. There is genuine caring involved. It's not just based on rule. It's not just rule based. It's not just based on compliance, but it's really coming out of this genuine caring, this deep caring and concern for the whole.
You actually did a heart math workshop for Zubo Design Associates. And there was a feedback a month after the program. I was thinking we can show everybody this. But can you please give them a feedback, an overview of this particular company, Weng? What I'll share.
Okay, yeah, sure. That's a very, to me, that's a very inspiring story. Because the finance person who has joined my public heart math workshop told me that the CEO, the president, want their people to be trained in heart math. And I asked her, what is the reason why he wants the people trained in heart math? And she
Mhm.
said, because he wants them to find their purpose, to connect with their purpose. So I called for a meeting. So the finance was there, one of the managers, and then the president was also there. The CEO was there, and so I said, you know what? I only have one question in this meeting, and I said, um, I learned that you want a heart math workshop for your people because you want them to find their
The
purpose. And I
purpose.
said, do you recognize that if we train your people on heart math, there is a possibility that your people might quit, that they might resign because they might find that this is not for them, this is not their purpose. And he said, yes, absolutely. Because if this is not for them, then there's really not that much contribution that they can give to help the organization evolve. So that is their story, and I know that they've gone through a very beautiful process of transformation. The level of trust and openness in the organization really increased, and they are really cultivating that leadership as a culture also. Meaning, um, most of them now do not really have to depend on the designated leader before they take initiative, or before somebody says, "Hey, I need to call for a meeting," or "I think we need to have a conversation around this." Now it's become part of their culture. But they all started with a HeartMath workshop, and then after that, several workshops followed, aligning to the principles of HeartMath that they have,
I
started
can just
cultivating.
imagine. Ang ganda siguro ng organization na yun. Everyone's a leader. Like everybody's taking initiative. Let's hear it from the employees and the staff of Zubo Design Associates.
It helped me a lot, like how I deal with stress and how I deal with my everyday work. Um, it helped my team, like we're so conscious in our actions, especially what we're doing, and to be coherent.
The environment has changed a lot since the workshop. The perception of the office has really changed. It boosted our morale for our working environment. And personally, for me, it really helps because before the workshop, I keep forgetting about how to enjoy the working environment or really taken for granted about happiness. Then after the workshop, really comes back to me. And,
HeartMath helped me and my team to work better in dealing with our projects because it helped us to be coherent and then we could easily communicate properly. Well, personally, it has helped me become more coherent. Me and everyone in the office is more calm and we react more positively with negative situation. So it has been 2 months since the workshop, and I can greatly see the positive effect that it has brought to our office. It has brought a very positive atmosphere and a lighter attitude and brighter perspective.
The team and myself benefited it greatly overnight. You manage yourself first, and that's I think that's the first thing that you need to do. A lot of the things in the workplace is being overwhelmed, so you have to have that emotional stability to overcome that by yourself first. So you have to develop yourself first. What's crucial is, as the leader of the organization, I have to be the one to really step up my game as well, to inspire and influence my coworkers. Moving forward from the month and the second month, it gives you added challenge in terms of really overcoming, becoming a true leader, inspiring people, and from there, you actually become a better leader because we build our organization with this kind of workshop that we build better leaders.
Wow, that was great. But I hear the word coherence from most of them in different
Mm.
ways. What is coherence in heart math language, Weng?
Yeah, in the HeartMath language, coherence is this optimal state where there is synchronization or alignment between the mind, the heart, and the emotions. There is also a physiological coherence, but the context in which they were talking about it is more on this psychological or behavioral coherence, where the heart and the mind are really agreeing. They are
Mm,
harmonized. So that's what coherence is, and it can manifest in different ways. You can benefit from coherence in different ways. For example, when you sustain your coherence, when you keep on cultivating it, you get to manage your stress. That's what the first architect was talking about. And then another also said that it improved the work environment. No, because there is also this social coherence where they become more aligned. There's more harmony. Even if there's diversity, you can harmonize that. It improves the culture, and uh, who else? The last one, no, the CEO also talked about developing leadership capacity. So when you are more aligned, you also become more aligned with what the challenge in front of you is asking for. So in the context of the company, they need to step up their leadership capacities. The process of coherence, by cultivating it, allows them to do that. So iba-iba yung manifestations, but it really comes from this alignment between the heart and the mind, because there's that real intelligence that really comes from the heart. It guides you, it aligns you with your purpose and your meaning, and it aligns the people and rally them behind a common carry.
Right. I love what somebody said. I forgot that I was happy at my work. And now I'm reminded of that I should enjoy my work. And you posted in and you wrote about it also, that a lot of the millennials who attended your workshops, 90% of them said that they're not happy with work and they had difficulty finding their purpose.
Mm, yeah, yeah, that's true.
And is this because there's a separation? Because earlier you're saying coherence is the alignment of the heart and the mind. So unhappiness is that showing them that there's a separation between the heart and the mind, that it's not
Mm.
aligned.
I would say that it could be one of the manifestations, no, the unhappiness stemming from the lack of alignment. Because, of course, if the heart tells you you should you should go for this, um, you should go for this goal, you know, and then your mind maybe is telling you, oh, that's too ambitious, then there's no alignment there. No, your system is confused. So you need to harmonize them so that the brain can understand. If the heart says, you know, this is something that you should really go for, this is something that you can do, it just takes time and patience and effort, but you can definitely do it. So you want to align them. But in relation to the purpose, what I was finding out, which is I think also my personal experience, oftentimes our purpose don't really parang uh, show up right away. They don't present. It doesn't present itself in the form that we might want to imagine, no, or that in the form that we imagine. Why am I saying that? For example, um, when I was doing corporate work, I was already doing community development. So I was a manager in a BPO company, and I co-founded and co-managed the Cebu Farmers Market, which is an all organic market in Cebu for organic produce. And what I was finding out in the process while I was doing community development or sustainable development along with my corporate job is that the more that I show up at my work and the more that I become more present at my work, I discover the elements of my work there that is connected with some elements in my community development that really inspire me. What is that? I learned in the process that my purpose has something to do um, with relationships, with cultivating relationships, with helping people be more aligned, with helping people connect with their purpose, no, by helping people find their meaning. So it just naturally unfolded, meaning in the beginning it didn't show up. I was a manager, it wasn't very clear what where my purpose was, but when we do some things, yung feelings natin are cue for that. You know, when you feel when you feel inspired to do certain things, when you feel very connected with something that you do, that is really where your purpose lies. But they take different forms, which is why when I resigned from my job, I already knew that my purpose have something to do with helping people find meaning, helping people generate more harmony, more creativity, you know, wherever they are. So that's how it really revealed itself to me, which is why I would tell my participants that sometimes you just have to do the best that you can wherever you are planted. If you really do it well, if you feel connected with what you are doing, wherever you are planted, your purpose will reveal itself to you. But if you keep on resisting it and you keep on struggling and you keep on saying, why am I taking calls in the case of those who work in the BPO industry? Why do I have to keep on taking calls? I mean, if you continue resisting that and you keep on struggling, and then at the same time you're not very willing to resign from that job, it doesn't really pull you closer to your purpose. But if you really closely pay attention, what is it about your job or your work? What is that element that really inspires you? What is that element that really makes you feel fulfilled and makes the job feel meaningful, no matter how temporary? Because those are clues to what your purpose is.
Right. So your feelings are clues to your purpose. And I sense that
Yes.
you talk about connectedness to the work. You wrote about an anecdote where a director told you not to take things personally when you pointed out how his team's behavior was compromising their ability to deliver results. You said you weren't offended, but you thought he got it wrong. And you're talking about
Mm.
connectedness here, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah, just a bit of a context. No, this director, by the way, eventually became a good friend of mine. And I think that happens when people really see that you genuinely care and that all you do is really just for the greater whole. I think that naturally happens. So I wasn't directly reporting to him. The department that I was working in was providing support services for his department. So I had my own director back then. And then, of course, we agreed on certain things. We said that these are the goals and these are the things that we need to do, the different departments to get there. And so what happened was my team would need to send a lot of emails. We need to keep on calling out people from his department, and nothing really happens. So
Mm-hmm.
that that's why I said it was compromising the results that we wanted to deliver. So I had to call for a meeting. I wanted to talk to him. It was just him and I, by the way, and I think he really felt how quote unquote personal it was to me, right? But I don't think that it was right for him to use the phrase "take things personally." Why did I say that I think he got it wrong? Two things. One, when you say you take things personally, that's when maybe when something goes wrong, when you get bad feedback about something, and then you make it about you, and you're not able to get out of that bubble. You're stuck in it because you have overly identified and overly associated that result or that feedback with who you are. So that's taking things personally. But I think what he meant was don't make it too personal. Something like it should not be too personal. He probably felt that I cared, I don't know, for him too much about it. No, but
Yeah.
to me that's wrong because when people don't genuinely care about the job, when they don't deeply care about how it's going to affect the greater whole, that is really when most people in organizations don't move beyond compliance. Hanggang compliance lang yan. You don't really get genuine commitment. And in organizational cultures, there are different levels of compliance. The highest level of compliance is genuine compliance, right? It's genuine, but it's still compliance. So it could be that people are complying because they respect the leader. So they will do what is being cascaded. They will follow whatever is being rolled out, right? But if people are committed, regardless of who the leader is, um, regardless of situations, people will really take initiative. They will do what they can to be able to deliver the results that they want because they are committed to the larger vision. They are committed to the larger goal. So that's the difference between compliance and commitment. And I
So
think
what
that's a lot of difference.
yeah, what I'm seeing is hard math actually help people commit to the job and not simply comply to a job.
That's a tricky question. And by the way, I think You got frozen,
Hello,
but
Weng.
what I heard was you were, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, is
You
it
can hear
correct
me
that
okay?
HeartMath allows you? Yes, I can hear you clearly. Is it correct that in an organization you want people to commit and not merely comply, right?
We cannot
I actually have
really.
an interesting story about this. I have a team because I'm also in community development work. So I have a team of volunteers. And we brought these volunteers in a certain institution. And these volunteers are highly, highly committed. We give them honorarium. It's not, but of course, it's like they take a huge pay cut to do this certain project. But and we became part of a different community. What's interesting is the volunteers who aren't really paid as much to do the project would stay longer time than the staff in the certain community that we went to. Like with we're just supposed to be there for like 2 hours, but but because it's a new space for the volunteers, they'd come in early, like 30 minutes before, and they would come after our program. We would stay for like 1 to 2 hours for feedback, just so we can help each other assess the situation. But the staff in the community, when the bell rings, that's their cue. They run off as fast as they can. And I was thinking, oh my god, and a lot and at that time we were so frustrated. I was thinking, hey, we're not being paid to do this. I mean, we're here to just we just
Mm,
love to do it, and we want to help you. How come you're not giving us the commitment that we're giving you? And now I understand because they're not enrolled. I guess number one, they're not enrolled in division. Number two, our volunteers have a heart for it. They're
mm,
there because that's their job. And so I see, and now I understand, oh, that's the difference. They're just complying that they have to be there 8 to 5. We're committed.
hmm. Yeah,
And
that's
that's how
true.
it is.
Oh, and in response to your question, before that anecdote, um, we don't want to force people to commit. We should
Mm,
never do that. Otherwise, it will really backfire. Which is
true.
also why we don't want to force people to do personal mastery because it will also
Mm,
backfire.
mm,
Chances are it will result to compliance if you do that. What you would want to do is to create conditions. No, you create the environment, the culture that will really allow people to cultivate personal mastery. You would want to create conditions and environments or cultures where people find meaning and connection, so that then they really see a part of them in that, and so then they can really enroll and commit to, because let's let's face it, people go to work for their own visions and their own goals. It's not really for whatever lofty visions that have been declared by the company. These visions might be on the walls of organizations, but that's not really the vision that fires up people. What fires them up is the thing inside of them that really inspires them, that they really feel connected to, that they really find meaning in. So I would say you would want to cultivate, while you give personal mastery or personal development, if you will, you would want to continue cultivating a culture that allows people to really do that and really grow and become who they are.
so it's about cultivating culture, and it doesn't have to be imposed.
It doesn't have to be imposed. You want to cultivate that culture, because if you don't cultivate the culture, let's say for example, um, you let your team take a heart math workshop, they get so fired up, like maybe the like what happened to Zubo. But if your culture will not allow them to have open conversations, then it will really go to waste. It's just a matter of time when people will be discouraged, and they might say, it's just all talk. We're not really walking the talk. So the training um, has to come with the cultivation of the culture.
So it goes hand in hand. There was an instance when you cultivated a culture of gratitude in your workplace. You mentioned this. You said that there was a challenging time in your company before, and there was downsizing. the workload increased, work time had to increase, and everybody's exhausted, and there was frustration all over. But you help your team manage this, and I felt you created a certain kind of culture to help them overcome this downsizing.
Yeah, that's very true. Um, One of the things that I would really tell my team, no, is to really always look at the. I know all managers and leaders who do it to really show the bigger picture, but I just want to give an example. There was a year when the company couldn't release the annual incentive because the company didn't hit the financial goals from the previous year. So first quarter of the following year, people were expecting to get an annual incentive, but it couldn't be given. So I had to give that perspective to my team that the company cannot give what it doesn't have. So there was an employee engagement survey, and it was a surprise to many that for most teams, for most managers, they really had failing employee engagement scores. No, that satisfaction, employee satisfaction scores, but mine didn't dip. It was stable for around 6 quarters consecutively, despite that event where people get frustrated because I had to cultivate that culture where my team would really look at the bigger picture, would look at the greater whole, what is happening, and we cannot expect the company to give something that it is not able to give. We cannot force it. So we had to, that understanding had to come. And months after that, what happened was yun, there was downsizing. um, some of my team members had to render longer hours, and that really depletes people. That really makes them so exhausted and frustrated. So times like that, when I feel that there's so much tension and pressure, I would call for a meeting. And that specific meeting, which I wrote about, which you read, I opened the meeting with, what are you grateful for? But of course, I set the context. I said, we have been rendering longer hours. I know that we're all tired. We're so exhausted. The situation hasn't changed yet, and it's like more than a month already. But I would like to know, I am interested, despite all that, what it is that you are grateful for. So one started talking and said, I'll just call that person Peter. I am grateful because I know that Peter and his partners are also overwhelmed. I know that they are also having difficulty, but I notice that they still find the time to help me with what I need. They really take the time, and I am very grateful for that. And then another person will talk about what it is that he is grateful for. And when after the second person, after the third person, it really changes the entire mood. It changes the vibration of the team. And I think that that's a practice that is not really being tapped, no, where you really have an honest conversation. There is a way to cultivate a certain level of intimacy in teams, a certain level of openness and trust, so that people really talk about what they want to talk about, so that people really talk about their emotions, and they don't see it as corny or OA, because they're talking about what they're grateful for, because they are genuinely grateful for certain things. And I think that tapping into the energy of gratitude, when others hear it, they get infected by it. It
Mm.
changes the whole landscape.
Yeah, I love it. People get infected by gratitude. But I also like that you set the context, that you didn't discount the fact that they are tired, they're frustrated, they're working long hours before you went into gratitude. But the context right now is a lot of Filipinos actually lost their jobs. According to a recent survey by SWS, 27 million Filipinos are jobless, 45.5% have become unemployed, and half of whom lost their job as a result of the pandemic. So I'm sure, like with your previous job, They also feel frustrated and anxious. So, what's your advice for people who've lost their jobs?
There's no easy answer, no? Or this answer might come easy, but I know that it will be easier said than done. But to me, the only way is really to embrace the opportunity. What are the opportunities behind what has happened? To me, one of the opportunities is to redesign our lives. One opportunity is to redesign our source of income. So I would say that we have to embrace the opportunity, but you cannot embrace opportunity until you're able to navigate stress, until you're able to regulate emotions. So I would say that you will have to start there. Like what we talked about last Tuesday, we have to acknowledge what are all of these emotions that overwhelm us and are troubling us. We have to acknowledge them, but we also have to do the work that is needed to be able to transform them. And in the HeartMath process, I gave examples from the workshop last Thursday, and I'll give another one
Mhm.
this coming Thursday. No, when you are able to transform the emotion of fear or anxiety or doubt, there is real insight that comes, and that insight will not come if you are plainly doing a mental process. And when you are just trying to convince yourself, when you're just trying to mentally talk to yourself that there is a brighter side, there is good in what is happening, no, your system doesn't understand that, right? If you are just doing that mental talk, you have to regulate and transform these emotions. And the heart math processes does that exactly. It helps you transform those emotions, which is why when you are coherent, because we use the coherence process to transform the emotions. When you are coherent, after that, there is real insight that comes to you. There is more alignment. You get a higher perspective, and that's what really keeps you going. That's what gives you hope. It is what inspires you. It is what helps you become more creative. So yeah, I think I think that is where we should really start.
I agree with you. It's kind of hard to look for solutions or, like you said, design your life if you're stressed or anxious. It, yeah, like there's a lot of yeah, there's a lot of unclarity, and it's just going to be difficult for everyone. So I guess you're right. You'll have to regulate yourself first. So for those of you who need help, I think it would be good for you if you can join Weng's session. She has a session this this Thursday. It's called the Resilience Advantage Workshop. Um, we had a session last time where she did one technique to help everybody transform fear and anxiety. And this time, like you said, Bueno, we're doing another technique to be able to transform these emotions.
And specifically, we wanna harvest insights and perspectives in the technique that we will be doing this Thursday.
Mm-mm. What I like about the workshop is it's very experiential. Like after after the 1 hour workshop, you'll be able to take home something that you can really use in your life. And I've been practicing because last week we talked about depleting energies and renewing energies. And it has to be done real time. That's what I noticed. Because sometimes what I just like, I wait at the end of the day, or sometimes I really don't acknowledge the emotions. But when I do it right away, when the emotion happened, like if I'm anxious, somebody like shouted at me and I felt anxious. And if I'm able to clear it right away, I notice at the end of the day I don't have any a lot of clearing to do, and it's easier to sleep. You talk about mental clarity, it's easier to connect to meditation. So it has, and when I did the survey also on the HeartMath website, and that's what they said. So to manage stress, you have to acknowledge pala the emotions right away when it happens.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's true. And to make it relevant to the workplace context, no, I think I also wrote about it, and you might have read it. There are times when your team is really behind you.
Mhm.
They really care about the collective results. They care about what will happen if you're able to deliver the results or not. But sometimes, no matter how much they have declared that they are with you, and that they will do what needs to be done, and no matter how much pep talks or coaching sessions you might have given, it is also possible that they just cannot pull it off, that they might have difficulty carrying out the task, especially if the tasks that they have to do are complex. You know? And there are many complex tasks that need to be done on a day to day basis because sometimes situations change. There might be changes in plans, and so they will have to be creative about it. But sometimes it can be difficult for them because it can be complex, right? And so you might need to acknowledge that there are feelings of discomfort and unease. So as one acknowledges that this thing needs to be done, and as that person approaches that task, there is discomfort and unease that comes. And when there is discomfort and unease, and you're not able to transform that, the person might not actually be able to really pull off that task. No, that person might actually end up procrastinating. That person might actually, step back and say, I doubt that I can do this. Or that person might say, I'm confused. I don't really know where to start. I don't have these resources. So that's another application of the coherence practices that I have been teaching.
And that's why it's an alternative approach to organizational development because you acknowledge the emotions of the person person part of your team. You don't just like ask for deliverables. You don't just ask for results. You
Mhm.
acknowledge you acknowledge the emotions of the person. You acknowledge the being
Yes, the
in
being.
in the team member. Yeah.
But also in fairness to other organizational development efforts ka, no, there are real interests naman talaga in developing emotional intelligence. There is that, but I just feel that it is also limited because I think some would do it, but not all would actually really develop the people to the extent that you would want to connect them with their purpose or their meaning. I think it stops with maybe emotional intelligence that is relevant to the task that they need to perform. It's only up to that. But I think if we say an alternative organizational development, meaning it is really just committed to developing people, to really become full human beings, to develop their heart intelligence, to help them get connected and find their purpose and their meaning. Because to me, the the higher purpose also of doing an alternative kind of organizational development is later on, it might also help companies to actually rethink what their role is in the larger community or societal development. So I think I'm not just doing organizational learning work or organizational development work for the sake of developing organizations. To me, there is a higher circle beyond that circle of organizations. The higher circle is also the society. So, what is the role that we're playing in society? Are we cultivating people who are connected and purposeful so that when they go back to when they interact in their homes, when they interact in the community, they're really able to give back and they really and they truly care. So to me, that's a whole or a full human development. It's not just developing employees in the context of the work.
But imagine if you have employees who truly care about the organization and who are
Oh,
not just compliant, but are really committed. You can just imagine what kind of organization that will be. And you're saying that Zubo Designs, they're winning competitions, right? They're acknowledged in the world as one of the best in their field.
yeah. I am not taking credit. I mean, they're really a high performing team.
Right.
They're really known in design and in architecture, in the architecture industry, even before they took heart math. But yes, that
Right.
is correct. Zubo is a high performing team, and they were a finalist to the World Architecture Festival last December.
But also, it doesn't apply just for companies when you're also working with nonprofits and you're actually leading a lot of social development work. How did you apply heart math in your community work and community development?
Oh, if you do community development work, especially sustainable development work, you need a lot of resilience because most sustainable development work are about alternatives, no? For example, an alternative farming system, an alternative farmers market, and you make it organic, or an alternative education, alternative healing. I mean, when you walk this path, you know that if you are not resilient, you could easily give up because, as I have mentioned in our very first conversation, the political climate, the social climate are not very friendly and not very welcoming to alternatives, things that haven't been tried yet. So, if you are a sustainable development worker or if you are a community development worker and you don't have resilience and you don't have personal mastery, you will really give up. And along with your giving up, you might be giving up the vision as well. So that means that there will not you will not really see a lot of significant and revolutionary changes in society. So it is highly relevant. HeartMath can really help one continue his or her personal mastery practice. Um, I believe in the transformation of society based on the transformation of the person who is doing the work out there. So they are highly interrelated or interconnected factors.
Mhm. But also speaking of alternative, you mentioned that right now mental health campaigns are evolving. Like you have recently been invited to Eye Care Mental Health Expo, and before you said that the landscape in the mental health field was different. How was your experience now?
There's more openness, and
Mhm.
people welcome more the non-mainstreamed modalities or methodologies. So before siguro more on talks, no, but now they give workshops. So the one that just happened last week, there were two workshops. One was a heart math workshop, and the other was on mindfulness. So imagine a mental health awareness campaign where they give heart math and mindfulness. That's really transformative, and that's not how you used to do mental health campaigns, right? So to me, there's more openness now, and people are more willing to try these things that maybe before siguro some would just say, oh my god, that's just some woo woo or that's some new age thing. But no, these are cutting edge sciences.
That's
People
true.
just
Because that's what you're saying. That hard math is not just some woo, because it's an integration of science and you said spirituality, and there's evidence behind it.
Yeah, that's very true. In my workshop, I don't dive into spirituality right away. I don't use spiritual terms right away. I respect the participants, and I go with the energy where they're going. So um, fortunately, and it really gives me joy when they see heart math and they know that there is science behind it, they start asking questions. And most of the questions that they ask are pointing to some spiritual practices. So one example of that was when I was giving the practical intuition module. Siguro before, people might think that intuition is just kutob and there's no basis, and that's not real intelligence. No, you shouldn't really listen to it because it's very unreliable. And sometimes they might say that It's just you, and it's just your mind, no? But no. So I gave that practical intuition module, and then that class had longtime meditators, but there were also some millennials who did not have experience in meditation. And so when we talked about intuition, and they tried the practice, they tried the technique, one 23-year-old said, why, where does intuition come from? And so the longtime meditators were like, oh my god, just asking this question. So I mean, we couldn't avoid but connect it
Mm,
with spiritual teaching.
spirituality.
So it naturally unfolds. I noticed that when they see HeartMath, they start asking more questions. So like when they have tried the practice, the technique that I taught last Thursday, I had participants who started asking, why does energy work? So what is energy? so so why is it working? They start asking questions, and it leads them to, you know, to more teachings in spirituality.
Yeah. The CEO of HeartMath, Dr. Deborah Rossman, said that government and big businesses are starting to acknowledge that humans have a heart. And even tech executives from Google, Facebook, and Twitter, they're using mindful heart qualities in their own workplaces. So it's
Yeah,
something
that's very
that's
true.
catching up in the US. Hopefully the Philippine work environment also opens up to this new approach.
Mm-mm. I've given some heart math workshops to some NGOs,
Mhm.
and NGOs who are really doing some alternative sustainable development projects or initiatives. And I would say Zubo is probably the first company in the US who had the entire staff talaga trained on heart math. But yeah,
Oh,
hopefully we will catch up. No, hopefully.
yeah.
Uh, I want to mention that in Stanford University, for example, they are teaching heart math in their executive coaching.
Oh, that's cool. And I noticed even in Silicon Valley, they're using heart math.
Yes, there are several companies who had their employees trained on HeartMath. I don't know up to what extent and whether or not, they are still using it, or whether the programs are still active. But yes, if you go to heartmath.com/organizations, you will find a lot of outcomes and results from organizations there.
Right. So if you would want to try out heart math for your organization, you can actually contact us and we can provide you with details how we can provide that for you. But also this Thursday, we'd like to invite you first to Weng's workshop. That's going to be at 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. It's about resilience. But also, and to wrap up, what is heart intelligence and how can it help people and organizations or people in organizations? Since we're talking about organizations for this episode.
To me, heart intelligence is really a guide, right? It guides you with what to do. It guides your thinking. It also guides your actions. So, um, when we are dealing with certain challenges, sometimes it is the thinking that really gets in the way. If you really engage heart intelligence, it can really inform the brain. It can, as I was saying earlier, it can really provide an insight and a perspective, right? And also, when you find something really difficult, because maybe you have been used to doing certain things in a certain way, heart math is a system that repatterns behaviors, that repatterns responses. So through that heart intelligence, you will be more able to also develop and cultivate new practices, new habits. So there will be greater alignment if you really use heart intelligence. And we're not discrediting the brain. Of course, the brain is a real important resource, but there is so much more that you can really achieve, that you can get if you engage heart intelligence in the process. So in the context of heart math, if you engage heart intelligence, you're able to manage your stress, you're able to transform your emotions, you are more intuitive and more creative. So, I mean, you can imagine how much that would really impact both your personal life and your professional life.
That's true. And I feel that everybody needs that at this time to be able to manage stress, transform emotions, especially at this time. Can you please guide us into a short meditation, a
Okay,
heart-based
sige.
meditation?
We can do that. Can we check who I saw somebody said hi to us. I am just curious who that was. There was something that popped
It
up.
was Brush, Ambrosio.
Okay, it was Brush. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi, Brush.
and Brush. And hi to everybody watching.
Okay, so siguro something different from the one that we did last week. Um, Still similar, but a little different. And I invite you to close your eyes. But before we start with the exercise, I need you to think about what ease, EASE, means to you. And I need you to recall how ease feels like to you. To some people, ease is when they are floating on water, they feel that calm or relaxation. For others, ease is the feeling of comfort when they are cuddling with their pets or when they are cuddling with a loved one. There are those who say that ease is like water in the stream where there are rocks and you are the water and you don't resist it, you don't splash it, you don't fight the rocks, but you move through it. So think about what ease is like to you and try to recall how ease feels like to you. Now relax your shoulders, gently opening the chest, as this gives us a very nice and smooth access to the heart. And start to focus your attention in the area of the heart. You can put your hand on top of your heart area if that helps you focus. Imagine that your breath is flowing in and out of that heart or chest area, breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. Try to inhale for 5 seconds, exhale for 5 seconds, or whatever rhythm that is comfortable to you. Just make it slower and deeper, keeping that focus on the heart. Now draw in the feeling of inner ease to balance your mental and emotional energies. Just breathe in that feeling of ease. You can re anchor yourself on this feeling of ease as you engage with your activities and conversations for the rest of the night. ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you so much, Ren. And you mentioned that some of the organizations who use your heart math method, they're using heart-based meditation also, or the coherence techniques before their meetings, no? So
Yeah.
it's really part of the culture, ang galing. Again, we'd like to invite everybody. Wen has a workshop this Thursday. So this is part two. It's called the Resilience Advantage Workshop. What will they expect in this workshop? Wen?
As you mentioned, it will be experiential. So we will use the foundational technique that I taught last Thursday. However, if they were not able to join last Thursday, it's okay. They will still be able to catch up. So I will be teaching another technique where we will transform certain emotions. We will shift into coherence, which we were talking about earlier, and then we will try to see what is that insight or perspective that the heart is trying to tell them. So that is pretty
Yeah.
much the process.
Yeah, so we're that's interesting. We're going to shift into coherence. And really, at the end of the session, it's just a 1 hour workshop. But at the end of the workshop, you'll bring with you some techniques and tools that can help, that you can use in your life and can transform slowly, slowly um, your life based on the heart math technique. So, final words for everybody who's listening in when.
Hmm. I would say that uh, to really just live with the heart, engage the heart. There is so much more that we can achieve, that we can change just by really engaging the heart in the process. So um, maybe it would be great if they can join some of the workshops that online healing community is offering. I know that you are offering some for free. I think that that would be a very good start, especially for those who, as you mentioned, are having difficulty, maybe needing to find a job, those who are feeling anxious about the uncertainty. Yeah, try some of the workshops, and maybe that's what you need. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
So it's more
But
of an invitation.
yeah, yes, please try the workshop this Thursday. But also, if you can resonate with our conversation today, when talk about several anecdotes, a lot of stories about how she used heart math in her job, corporate job before, and even in her nonprofit. If you want to try heart intelligence for your organizations, whether it's a company, it's a nonprofit, please get in touch with us, and we're very open to bring it to your organization. Imagine what will happen if you bring compassion and openness and coherence in the workplace. So
Yeah, and
that's it, diba?
yeah, one last thing lang. Maybe we can also
Yeah.
share with them the full video from Zubo. I think that
Yeah,
will really benefit them. Yeah.
I can share in the Facebook
Oh,
page so
okay.
they can see the whole process. So yeah,
Thank
please let
you.
us know if it's something that you'd want to offer for your employees or staff in your company. And of course, you can join our free workshop this Thursday just so you can try it out. Thank you everyone for watching and for listening. Of course, thank you, Weng, for this beautiful conversation and sharing with us your
Yeah.
anecdotes and stories.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you to everyone. I hope that we were able to share some insights that would be useful.
See you soon, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.